Welcome everybody. I want to show you what I've designed here as a new method for creating a schedule based on a market-based system, uh, with the goal being of allowing market forces as determined by provider behavior to show us the true value of different shifts and allow our providers using those true values to purchase and trade shifts as deemed valuable by them. So let's get started. I think it'll become more obvious how this works as we walk through it. So in the top left here, we first type in the number of weeks that we would like to schedule. So typically at EMA we use 4, so I'm going to type in 4 here. And then we choose the first day of the new schedule. So let's say we're creating the January schedule, which starts on Monday, January 2nd. So we'd click here. In the second portion, we create the template of the site that we're going to be putting into this game, essentially. So we'll start with Monday. Let's choose, for example, the Prince William schedule, which starts from 6 to 1600, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. To 6 p.m., 11 a to 9 p, and then there's a 4 p to 2 a, and the overnight 6 p to 6 a. And at Prince William, all the rest of the days are the same as Monday, so we're going to click on this button here called Make All Days Like Monday. So when we click there, we see that every day has the same schedule, beginning and start times. Every day has 52 hours. Now, if we wanted to adjust the schedule, let's say we were at some site like Alexandria, which has different schedules on different days, we could come here and add another shift as needed. I'm going to take that out for now here. All right. So this shows us the total number of hours per week for this schedule. Now we're going to come down here, and in this section here, we can put the number of goal hours for each provider. So you can either click here or you can just type it. So I'm going to say provider 1 has a goal of 40 hours, provider 2 40. Let's say we have a bunch of 40s, we have some 36ers. So we're going to type, oops. So back here, we're going to make some of our providers 36 hours, and then let's say we have a couple providers who are 32 hours, and maybe a couple directors or so who are 24, maybe 28 hours, and maybe another 36-hour person here to get their hours. Okay, so then here we assign any number of vacation weeks that any provider may have. So let's say provider 1 has 1 week of vacation this month, and provider 2 also will have a week of vacation, and maybe provider 5 also has one, and let's say provider 6. All right. So in this last portion of the screen where we're setting up the schedule, we come here to click the number of tokens that will be assigned per shift. So this requires a little bit of explanation. So the concept behind this model is that when we are creating the schedule, we're going to be creating the schedule in 2 steps. In step 1 of the schedule, providers will be assigning themselves to what we call undesirable shifts, which are night shifts and weekends. And for each undesirable shift that they sign up for, they will receive a certain number of tokens. And in this section over here is where we're assigning how many tokens they will get for those undesirable shifts. So for example, we might say a night shift gets you 4 tokens, a regular weekend day shift gets you 4 tokens, and a weekend night gets you 7 tokens. Now during the market process, a provider can pass and say that they do not want to take on any more undesirable shifts. However, that is a move that costs tokens. So we can say over here that to pass during the undesirable shift process costs you 2 tokens. I think once we get to the next step, you'll see this one might make sense a little bit more. So we're going to now click on Create Schedule, and we're brought to very shortly, we're brought to the first portion of the market game, which is what we call the undesirable portion. Okay, so if we look down here, we see that all 4 weeks are visible, starting from Monday over here, going all the way through Saturday and Sunday. The only shifts that providers can sign themselves up for right now are undesirable shifts. So we see that Monday, that's the overnight, the 6P to 6A. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is the same. And then all the shifts on Saturday and Sunday are listed as undesirable. So here, let's, as an example, let's look at Monday, January 2nd. Here, there's one generally undesirable shift, the overnight shift, and it has 4 tokens available if somebody signs up for it. And right now, it says none, meaning it's available. No provider has signed up for it. In the top section here, what you'll see is each provider is listed along with how many tokens he currently holds. So at this stage, all providers have 0 tokens. How many hours they have signed up for so far. So provider 1 has signed up for 0 hours. And how many hours the provider is over or under their goal for the month. So this provider, provider 1 was a 40-hour per week provider, times 4 weeks gets you 160 hours, but he did sign up for a week of vacation. So his goal is to get 120 hours during this whole schedule period. Okay, so you can see provider 6's goal is 108 hours. Provider 10, one of the the directors, is 96 hours is his goal, and because he has 0 hours scheduled, he needs to find 96 hours. So this pretty much goes in a round-robin process. So provider 1 will choose an undesirable shift based on his own preferences. Okay, so if he's somebody who really dislikes night shifts, but doesn't mind weekend days, then he might come and pick the 8A to 6P shift on Saturday, June 7th, and all he does is click on it. And by clicking there, his name goes there, provider 1. And as you can see over here, he earned 4 tokens. He received 10 hours of scheduled time, and he now is seeking only an additional 110 hours. Provider 2 is now highlighted, so it's provider 2's turn to choose a shift. He can, let's say provider 2 also has a similar pattern and likes day shifts, doesn't like night shifts, and he might choose this other weekend shift. Let's say provider 3 really wants weekends off but doesn't mind doing nights, so he might come and pick up a night shift here. And provider 4 might be the same type of person. I'm just going to go ahead and just go through some choices here just so we can see some interesting attributes that come up when future turns come up here. Let me go through a couple of choices here. Okay, so now we're back to provider 1, and provider 1, now that it's his turn, again, you can see that provider 1 is listed in red here, so you can easily see all of the shifts for which he's already signed up. Now, provider 1 might think to himself, okay, well, I'm already working this weekend. I might as well work another weekend day, all right? Now, he can choose this open shift early in the morning, or he might say to himself, you know what, I'm probably going to go out to dinner this night, and I really don't want to come in for the 6 a.m. shift. I'd really much rather do the 8 a.m. shift. So he can click on provider 2 and bump provider 2 off. But what happens is that his bid automatically gets taken down by 1. So when provider 1 clicks on provider 2 right here on Sunday, January 8th, then provider 1's name will be listed, and provider 1 will only earn then 3 tokens for that shift, and provider 2 will have his 4 tokens taken away, and he's going to be left with no shift. So if you watch what happens, so what should happen is provider 2 should go down to 0, and provider 1 should then have 7 tokens. So we're going to click here. So now provider 1. So now you see provider 1 has both 8 a.m. shifts on Saturday and Sunday. But because he bumped another person, he only got 3 tokens out of this. Now it's provider two's turn. He was the one who was bumped off. Now he can, if he wants, he can take back that spot, but now he would only earn 2 tokens because it keeps uh, incrementing up or down by 1 token. Okay, in this, when we're choosing undesirable shifts, it increments down. Or you could say, you know what, I don't really care between 8 a.m. or 6 a.m. I'll just take the 6 a.m. shift on this day. So he can click there. And provider 3, he took 1 night shift. He might say, well, I might as well take an adjacent night. So he takes another night there. And provider 4 thinks similarly. So this keeps going until this portion is full. Now, let's get to another interesting portion here. I'm gonna just make some random choices right now. Okay, we've reached provider 10. Now let's say provider 10 says, you know what, I picked up 1 weekend, I'm the director, I don't want to do any more weekends or nights, and I'm willing to pay for it. What he can do is he can actually come here and click on pass. And what that does is he actually loses 2 tokens to make a pass. And what he should know at this time is that he's only earned 4 tokens. So he doesn't have, he only has enough tokens to pass twice. And that's not enough to get him through this whole round. Your only choices in this round are to pick up an undesirable shift or to pass. There's no other choice. So at this stage, he might still pick up 1 more undesirable shift, maybe another weekend, gain some more tokens so that he can pass later. Okay, so at this point, I've filled out the rest of the schedule, and all slots are filled. Players can continue to click on each other if they so like, to underbid each other for undesirable shifts, but it really is unnecessary because they can continue to do that in next phase. So we're going to come here and click on next phase. Now during this process, before we click on that, if somebody does make a mistake, they can click on undo to take back their move. So we're going to go to the next phase. In the next phase here, players can now bid on any desirable shift or continue to underbid on undesirable shifts. For example, provider 1 can now take the 8 a.m. shift on a Monday, and the initial purchase of a shift costs 0 tokens. So his name is now there. If provider 2 says, you know what, I really want that shift, that's the only shift I can take, he can now overbid provider 1 by clicking on the same position. But this increments upwards now, so it will cost provider 2 1 token to take that shift. So when we click there, you'll see that provider 2 will lose a token, and he will gain those hours, and provider 1 will lose those hours. So provider 2 clicks there, and we can see that it costs, so provider 2 holds that for 1 token right now, and his tokens went from 16 to 15. Provider 3, he's already got 2 night shifts, so he might say, I might as well do a 4 to 2 before that, so he clicks there. And this whole process progresses. So I'm going to go ahead and fill these out. Okay, I've gone ahead and relatively randomly filled out part of the schedule just to show another point here. Now we're at provider 10, who has earned 20 tokens. He's scheduled for 92 hours, and he is only 4 hours under for the entire month. So I've set up the game so that once you're -5 or better, then you can pass with no cost, meaning you're so close to your goal that we do not force you to go too much above your goal. So if we did force him to take a 10-hour shift, then he'd be 6 hours over, but now he's -5 or better, so he can click here on pass, and the turn will go to the next person who is still not -5 or better, so he's forced to make a move. So let's analyze provider 11. He might say, well, I'm doing 2 4 to 2s here already. I might as well do a third one. So you can overclick provider 6. It'll cost him a token, but he got that, as you can see. So the game continues until everybody passes, at which point no one wants to make a switch that benefits him in any way. And according to market theory, that's the the lowest energy point at which everybody is as happy as we can make